Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your friend Bets. My name is Jared. That's Carl. And this is Invincible Compendium 3 by Robert Kirkman, Ryan Ottley, and Cory Walker. This is the final volume of the Invincible series. This collects issues 97 to 144. And I gotta say, when I started this, I pretty much finished it in like less than a week. I read it pretty quickly because I was just like racing to the finish line. One, because the story is just incredibly good. And, you know, when I say you, I mean me. I become very fascinated with all the characters and their world and some of the humor and like everything about this series is just really good, just so good. And as I was reading this series and realizing pretty somewhere about halfway through the series, somewhere in the half of the second book, I realized that this was becoming one of my favorite comic books of all time. My favorite comic books are, surprisingly not DC books, which I love DC, but when it comes to favorite series, it's not DC for some reason, at least on the most part. Like, my favorite books of all time are the original run of Ultimate Spider-Man, the original, like, I've only read up to 200 something, but of Amazing Spider-Man, and now this one. Like, this is definitely in my top 5 favorite comic book series of all time, and it's just so good. I would recommend this to almost anyone who likes like Dragon Ball Z, any superhero stories, any just good old action stuff. It's pretty much, if you're a fan of science fiction, pretty much like if you just enjoy nerd stuff, whether it be anime or superhero stuff or science fiction, this book is right up your alley. And that's a huge recommend. I absolutely love this series, and I'm so happy I have these really nice hardcovers. And my friend Bruce and I have been reading this pretty much simultaneously together, and we both agree that it is like a top 5 book. It's one of the best comics of our generation, and there's some hard-hitting stuff in a superhero book where your main protagonist gets raped. And that is just crazy. I never thought I would what's crazy is I remember someone telling me about this and like years ago, and I forgot all about it until I got to around this part, and I was like, oh yeah, that happens to him. And just crazy. Ryan Ottley is, I've liked his work before, but I feel like the further he got into this series, it just got just better and better and better and better and better. His characters, his figures, his perspective, the way he draws action scenes, his violence, his gore, just everything about his style, his mood setting and stuff, like everything about him as an artist is just incredible. And Robert Kirkman and his team just really knock it out of the park. And what Robert Kirkman has done for me in this series is he's really made me, I've always enjoyed Walking Dead, and I don't like zombies. That's kind of been like what I've always said is like, I don't like zombies, but Walking Dead's good. And I really enjoyed the first few volumes of Invincible back in the day, which is essentially this first compendium set. And I loved that. And I always said like, oh yeah, Robert Kirkman's good. But actually reading this series as a whole all the way through just made me go, oh yeah, Robert Kirkman's one of the best comic book writers of my generation, like the 2000s. He's just great. And him and like Mark Millar are kind of like my two favorite indie guys. And I want to collect pretty much all of Robert Kirkman's work now. This is what this series has done for me, that I'm like, oh yeah, I just trust, like the same trust that I have with Mark Millar. Like, I don't care what Mark Millar even puts out. I know I'm gonna enjoy it. And so I have that trust where I'm like, oh yeah, whatever Robert Kirkman writes, I'm there for it. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. Like, yeah, Invincible really just changed the way I see like superhero stories being told now. And something I really loved about this series was it staying within its own rules and its own humor. That was all really great. But what really sold it for me was the ending. That, you know, there is a solid ending to Invincible. And it ends like, I don't want to say happily ever after, but it kind of does. And it actually uses its own lore of like 144 issues to build upon itself and give the reader, you know, you or I, a new, like, if Robert Kirkman wanted to do like a Kid Invincible series, there's room for it to happen because there's all these time jumps, and so there's a lot of room for so here's Mark as an older man, and there's opportunity for the series to either continue from this point where Mark's an old man and he has like a teenage daughter, or we could fill in the gaps between that. And just so much that the Battle Beast comic that's coming out currently is, I haven't read it, so I don't know, but I do know what happens to Battle Beast in Invincible. And so I'm like, oh, so there's going to be a solid, like, essentially the ending of Battle Beast is in this volume. But they do it in a way where, like, Battle Beast is barely in this series, so there's a lot of room for Battle Beast to have his own comic. And I feel like a lot of the other characters that Robert Kirkman introduced at the end of this series has room for a new Invincible, if there ever is an Invincible 2 or Kid Invincible or whatever they want to call it. So overall, this is probably, yeah, if you haven't read Invincible, do so. It's, in my opinion, one of the greatest comic book series of all time. Definitely in my top 5, probably even top 3. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.